Hello, my name's Paul Gilbert. I'm a clinical psychologist, and this is the fourth talk in a series of talks looking at how compassion can help us in these times of crisis, tragedy, and difficulty. So today we're going to be looking at how compassion can help us tune up our body, or rather I should say, how tuning up our body can help us with compassion. Okay, so this talk is really about helping the body to support the mind. And there are many ways in which we can stimulate processes in the body to help support compassion. Now, we looked at some of those in our last talk about the relationship of compassion to the brain and the body. And we know that things like movement, yoga, diet, exercise, acupuncture, these can all have very powerful and useful impacts on those physiological systems that support compassion. In later talks, we're going to be looking at compassion imagery and how we can use imagery of compassion to stimulate those systems in our brains and our bodies. Then we're going to be looking at how to develop competencies for compassion. For example, empathic competencies, mindfulness. And we're also going to be looking at some behavioral practices that we can do, things that we can practice on a regular basis. Because if you remember from my last talk, talk 3, we talked a lot about how the brain will change if we practice and develop new habits of living, new behaviors that will help change the brain. And in my last talk, we'll have a look at the fears, blocks, and resistance to compassion, because there are quite a lot of those as well. Okay, so just to remind you then, in my last talk, talk 3, looking at the brain and the body, we explored the vagus nerve, and this is part of the autonomic nervous system. It runs all over the body, and we saw that the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic and the parasympathetic work together. So if you remember, the sympathetic part of the autonomic nervous system excites us and stimulates us, and we use that when we're angry or when we're anxious or when we're excited. But the parasympathetic system is part of the braking system, and it helps down-regulate that arousal, brings us back, grounds us again. And when we have good vagal tone, that part of the autonomic system has good tone, we can have calmer behavioral states, we experience positive relationships, we have lower blood pressure. And we know that one of the practices that we can do to help get our vagal tone working, which will then help balance the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, is breathing, posture and breathing, which I will show you in a moment. Mindfulness, which we will look at later, also can help vagal tone. And very importantly, signals of friendship, support, kindness, helpfulness, all of these are very important to support vagal tone. And that includes being friendly and supportive of ourselves as well. So whether it's other people or whether it's our own minds, if they're very critical, this can actually stimulate the sympathetic system, not the parasympathetic system. So learning how to be supportive and helpful to each other and to ourselves, this is very good for your body, okay? So let's think about what we're going to do. So let's have a look at some of the practices and exercises that will support the vagal nerve and some of those brain processes that we talked about earlier. Now, in order for me to do that, I'm going to start to show you some practices. So I need to stop sharing my screen, and there we are, there I am. All righty. So the most important thing, firstly, is to recognize that the way we breathe can have an impact on the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system. And you can do this quite easily at home. You can have a go at home. If you was to breathe in your upper chest quite quickly, do that for a little bit, what you'll find is you might become a little tense, a little tingly. You might become a bit lightheaded, okay? So when we have rapid breathing, particularly upper chest breathing, that kind of breathing tends to be associated with anxiety or stimulating us. So what we need to do is to then begin to slow the breath. If we slow the breath, and there are 3 things to think about the breath: the rate of the breath, the rhythm of the breath, and the depth of the breath. We focus on those 3 things, we can learn how to gradually stimulate our vagus. Okay, so we're going to be focusing on breathing patterns that will do that. Now, there are many forms of vagus breathing or diaphragmic breathing that you can see on the internet. Generally speaking, the idea is to have a slower, deeper breath and sometimes an extended out breath. But the basic pattern I'm going to show you is called a 5 and 5. And that means you have about 5 seconds for an in breath, then you hold for 2 or 3 seconds, and then 5 seconds from an out breath. And I'll show you in a moment that that breath, you take it as deep down into your diaphragm as you can, okay? And then when you breathe in and breathe out, it's as smooth as you can make it. And the rate of the breath is going to be around 5 and 5, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. But as I say, you can go onto the internet and you'll find other patterns which might be a 5 and a 7, for example, 7 seconds out. The key is once you've chosen a rhythm that suits you, stick to the rhythm. In other words, don't go 5 and 5, 5 and 6, 5 and 7, 5 and 8, 5 and 5. So once you've got your rhythm, the rhythm and the smoothness of the breath is the important thing. Okay, so we'll show you that in a moment. However, one other thing to be aware of, and that is your posture. Now, posture is very important because if you're going to do diaphragmatic breathing or vagal breathing, you can't do it with a crunched up body. So when you're sitting at a computer or when you're anxious, the body tends to curl like this, right? You curl your body. Whereas when we're doing diaphragmatic breathing, we open up the body. So I'm now going to push my chair back and show you some postural ideas. So here we go, back I go, back I go, back I go. So stand up so you can still see me. Okay, here I am, all the way back here, good. Right, so remember that when we're anxious or angry, the body closes up like this, okay? So nobody fights like that, do they? Come on, I'm ready for you. They don't do that, do they? So when we're anxious and angry, we tend to close in on the body, and this tightens everything up. So in order for us then to begin to loosen up, we lift the shoulders up and back. So this is open chest, not closed chest. This is open chest, okay? And you should notice that your back moves from curving that way to curving that way. So you get a curve in your back this way when you open the chest. And what you should notice is when you do that, is you lift your diaphragm. Okay, so we can have a go at that. So if we like this, like at a computer, okay, you can see your back, everything's crunched up here. So lift the shoulders up and back like that. Now you can do these exercises standing up, or you can do them sitting down. So I'm going to do them standing up so that you can see what I'm doing. So now, whether you're sitting down or standing up, you want everything in line. You want your ears in line with your shoulders, in line with your hips. So no twisting of the body like that, in line with your knees, and then your feet are all, everything's in line. No cross legs or anything like that. Everything nicely in line, okay? So this is your posture. Now you can do this, as I say, sitting down or even lying down. You can use this for sleeping, but we're not going to be using this for sleeping today. We're going to be using this for a type of alertness, actually, a form of alertness. So we got our posture, right? Okay, everything in line, open chest, nice curve in the back. And now we breathe in through the nose and out through the nose at a rate of 5 breaths per minute. Now I'm going to count you into this, okay? And I'm going to count you in 2, 3, 4, 5, out 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to leave you for a minute just to have a go at practicing. But when you come to do it by yourself, then you can breathe for however long you want to. You can practice for 2, 3, 4 minutes or 20 minutes, however long you want to, right? I'm only doing it for a minute because of the video. So are we ready then? So we let our hands rest like this, just gently, making sure our shoulders are back. If you prefer, you can let your hands rest by your side. Now, if you're standing, just let your knees go slightly loose, so you're grounded, okay? And feel a stable position. So we're going to, here we go then, we're going to start our breathing. So breathing in, 2, 3, and out, 2, 3, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, and in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in, 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 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that is your pattern. I'm going to leave you now to just hold that pattern. And as you do, just try and notice the sense of slowing down in your body. So I'm going to leave you for a moment, and then I'm going to give you a few more ideas to focus on. Okay, terrific. So keep that breathing going as you just listen to me. Now, some people can find it a little tricky to focus on the breath, and so sometimes, if it helps, you can just lift your arms as you breathe in, and let your arms go as you breathe out. Or you can roll your hands up as you breathe in, and let your hands out as you breathe out. So if you don't want to focus completely on the breath, sometimes you can add physical movement. And there's also a nice Qigong movement that's quite useful to do with the breath. And basically, as you start off with your hands clasped like this at the bottom. Okay, and you imagine as you're breathing in, you're drawing in, and then as you get to your face, your hands turn over, and then you push up. So I've gone out your screen now, and I push up, and you can go up on your toes. And now as you breathe out, just stretching out to the side, and just gently, gently come back again to rest. Okay, so let's do that one more time together. So breathing in and pulling up, lifting up on your toes a little bit, turning the hands over as you come to the face, and then pushing upwards. Okay, now you're on tiptoes now, and then just gently, gently. Okay, so those are exercises that you can do, and they're quite useful to do with the breathing because they give you a focus. And people who do Qigong, there's all kinds of other exercises that you can do that can be quite helpful to pair with your breathing. Okay, so let's now just go back into our breathing. And now, if you wish, you can just allow your eyes to settle or close them if you wish, because we're now going to focus in on the mind a little bit. Okay, so once again, find that pattern in your body. Breathing in for around 5 seconds. Nice gentle hold. Notice the top of the breath, and then just gently sliding into the out breath. And the other thing to notice is try to have a relatively full lung and ensure that you empty. So don't do a half breath in and a half breath out. Now there are variations on that. Again, on the internet you can find variations on this. And the key thing really with all of these exercises is try things out for yourself. See what works for you. Right? You know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get a sense of grounding in the body. So when you're ready then, either looking down, or just with your eyes closed, and I'll guide you through this. So the next thing we're going to be doing then is breathing, but also saying in our minds, mind slowing down and body slowing down. And we're going to be focusing on that idea with our out breath. With the out breath, we're going to be focusing on the idea and a sense of slowing and grounding. And this helps the parasympathetic system to do its job, just grounding, Just slowing, slowing, okay? Now, importantly, this is not the same as relaxing, okay? Because you're not going all floppy, oh, I'm so relaxed now. You're staying upright or staying alert, okay? Now, this sometimes is what athletes use when they're about to do something tricky, like a gymnast doing somersaults or a diver on the high diving board. They learn to ground in the body, to slow the breath, ground in the body. Okay, they're not relaxing, they're just grounding themselves, settling the body and the mind before they either dive or they do the somersault or whatever it is. Okay, so this is what we're doing. We're grounding in the body. Now you can use this for relaxing, but right now we're just grounding in the body. The sense of the body becoming heavier, more stable. Okay, right, so off we go then. So I'm going to give you 20 seconds, not very long, just to get into your breathing pattern, and then I'm going to guide you with some ideas about how to talk to yourself. Okay, so you stick at your 5 breaths per minute, sorry, your 5-second breaths, and I'll just guide you through a couple of things. Now, remember we said that the vagus responds to friendly face, and it turns out your friendly face as well can have an impact on your brain. So doing this exercise now with a very gentle, friendly face, okay, not a big grin, like you won the lottery or something like that, just a little friendly face, as if you were greeting somebody you really like, and they are a joy to you. So just a very friendly face. Let's create the muscles with a very gentle smile and create a sense of friendliness in the face. That's the key thing, right? Because that feeds back into your brain, friendliness in the face. And you might notice that if you go back to having a neutral facial expression and then go to a friendly facial expression, it feels quite different. You can, again, you can try that as an experiment for yourself. You know, do it with a very neutral face and then do it with the friendly face, and notice the difference, right? Okay, so we've got our 5-second breaths, and we've got our body posture now, okay? And we've got a friendly facial expression. And now, on the out breath, focus on the key idea of body slowing down. And use a voice in your mind that captures that sense of slowing and settling. So the words are slightly longer than you would normally speak. Okay, so here it is then. Mind slowing down. So on the out breath, as you breathe out, mind slowing down. And just feel that facial expression, mind slowing down. Okay. And then on the next out breath, body slowing down. Now, if some of you get distracted with all kinds of thoughts, I can't do this, I'm not doing this right, all that stuff that goes on, just as best as you can, notice those thoughts without fighting with them. They can come in, can't they? And just as best as you can, just focus on this idea of mind slowing down, body slowing down. Now, if you're finding it's making you agitated, okay, then do the physical movements. Or do it in a way, find your own way so that you can allow your body and mind just to slow, okay? That can be helpful. And I'll be talking to you a little later about other things you can do if you become very agitated, because sometimes if you become very agitated, these breathing techniques aren't always that helpful. We have to do something else. But generally speaking, getting the habit of this kind of breathing can be very, very helpful. Okay, so I'm going to leave you now for a minute with your friendly facial expression and just practicing mind slowing down, body slowing down on the out breaths. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, terrific. Okay, now the next thing is we might want to use an image. Now, some people say, oh, I'm not very good at imagery, but that's sometimes because they don't understand it. Because if I say to you, what's an elephant? What's a bicycle? Where did you go on your holiday? The only way you'll be able to answer those questions is you'll have some kind of sensational image come into your mind. So images aren't these clear pictures, they're just these sensations of things, right? So think of a sensation of something or an image of something that would give you a sense of calming. So some people like to think of it like a tree on a breezeless day, or a mountain with just a wisp of cloud going across the snowy peak, or the sound of the sea just very gently, a flat sea gently lapping against the shore. Whatever image works for you, you can begin now to also bring in this sense of slowing. An image of slowing can be quite helpful. So have a go with that for a little bit. So if you get distracted, like you can probably hear sounds outside, don't worry, just come back, bring your mind back. Okay, and when we do mindfulness, we'll be learning, if you get distracted, don't worry at all. Just bring your mind back on task, bring your mind back on task. One other thing you might like to practice is to find maybe some music that gives you a sense of slowing and calming. There's many types of meditation music on the internet. You can find one that you particularly like, or any type of music really that gives you the sense of grounding in your body. Now, let's have a look. The idea is that if you practice this over a period of time, you'll feel very different from what we did at the beginning, which was fast breathing. You'll feel more grounded in your body. You can feel slightly heavier in your body, really grounded. This sense of grounding and feeling stable in your body feeling the stable, slightly heavier in your body. I don't mean heavy in the sense of weight. I mean in terms of feeling more stable in your body, right? Okay, so those are the key practices for today in terms of posture, grounding, facial expression, breathing in a way that grounds you in the body, and bringing this sensation of mind slowing down, body slowing down. Okay, now this can be really quite helpful in all kinds of situations. To practice it is a great thing, right? But sometimes, if you know you're going to go into a tense situation, spend a few moments grounding in your body, grounding in your body, grounding in your body, giving your body a chance just to settle before you go into a difficult situation. And then if you pair that with a compassion focus, which I'll teach you, will show you a little later, this can be really very helpful, okay? Because when we're rushing around and when we're very stressed, it's very easy to start doing that. And then, of course, then that stimulates the anxiety, okay? So grounding in the body. And you can do it when you practice this, you can do this quite quickly. Sometimes I had a very difficult clinical situation because I was a clinical psychologist, would see clients who were very distressed or suicidal or whatever. Just preparing myself to have a clear mind, stable mind before I would then engage. That used to be quite helpful. All right, so hope this has been useful to you. Do explore on the internet how you can help your vagus nerve in all kinds of ways. And we'll see you in our next talk, which will explore how to focus on a compassionate mind. Thank you very much.